Hi everybody, this is Meg at Chasing Retro, and today I have a haul to share with you. We went out of town this past weekend. We wanted to take our kids on one last little trip before the summer was over and classes started back this week, so we decided to go to Atlanta. It's about 2.5 hours or so from us, and it is one of my favorite cities, always has been. It has changed a lot over the years, but there are some amazing gems in Atlanta, especially architecture-wise, and I'll put a clip of something about that in a little while, so stay tuned for that little interjection. I have always loved architecture. I used to want to be an architect, and I was on my way to going into an architecture program when I actually got accepted in a scholarship to a smaller university that did not offer it, but I'm so thankful that I did that instead. However, my love of architecture has still not been abated all these years, and so I wanted to show the kids one of my favorite hotels in Atlanta, and we did that as part of our running around this weekend. But of course, how can you go anywhere as a junk journaler without going to thrift stores or reuse stores? Okay, so I told my family that I would not make them go to this certain store if it was not within the radius of everything else that we wanted to do this weekend. Well, it turns out it was not far away from another store that my husband and daughter both wanted to go to. So I got to go to this store. I was happy. It's called Scraplanta, and it is, I think there's two of them, and then a big one and a small one. And the big one was really small compared to what I'm used to with my craft reuse store. And then there was one more that I think is a sort of derivative of that is called Everybody Sews. I did not make it to that one, but that's okay. It was mainly just sewing stuff and sewing classes and things. So if you live in the Atlanta area, look up those, and it's worth a drive. But let me show you what I found this weekend. The first thing I'll show you is from a consignment shop that was right next to a record store. My husband was looking for CDs, and he found several of the ones on his wish list. But while he was doing that, I went into a consignment store called Queenie's, and right away I walked in and I was like, this is so fun. The vibe in here is so fun. It was 3 or 4 older ladies, and they looked like they had either been sorority sisters or best friends for years and years and years. They just were having so much fun together. And it was mainly a store for, I guess you would say, age 35 to 70 type clothing, but they had some trendier things and some very nice brands. I don't care about that. I went straight to the vintage rack because I love vintage clothing, and I don't have many vintage pieces that are not nightgowns and pajamas. So I found a shirt that had been marked down because it had been in the store for 30 days, and I wanted to show it to y'all. Look at this beauty. It is actually handmade. It is handmade, and it is, I don't know what it's made of. It's a polyester, but it's a little scratchy. I'm a little worried about that. I'll probably wear a tank under it, as I do with a lot of my tops, but I could not pass this up. I love vintage anything, but especially handmade things. So it is just a button up the front, simple blouse. It has darts in it, short sleeves. I don't think the sleeves are puckered. No, they're not. And yeah, it's probably right past the waist in length, and it has little cutouts on the side, which are always flattering. I have some white eyelet pants that I'll be wearing this with. I'm very excited. Another thing they had there that I really wanted, but it was about 5 days away from being marked down 25%, so I did not get it. I've always wanted one of those terry cloth robes. You guys probably know what I'm talking about. I guess you would call it a house coat. It looks like a towel that you wear. I love it. But there was one there that was, I don't have a picture of it, but I'm going to see if I can Google image it and insert it here. If I'm successful, you'll see it here. It was green, yellow, white, and orange. My favorite color combo. It looked like something that you would sit next to your pool in the backyard with on a lounge chair. I didn't get it. It was just a little bit more than I wanted to pay, but I was happy to get this one. Okay, the next thing is the Scraplanta store. And then I've got a few books from a used bookstore. I'll show those last. First thing that I found was this Crane's Stationery. I don't know what kid finish means, but it is called Lilac Mist, 50 sheets. There's not 50 in here, but there's almost 50. The top few are not lilac. I'm assuming it was from another box, but look at this beautiful color. And it's typical, the Crane Stationery with the embossed, you can't really see it, but it has the watermark, and then very thick, high quality paper, beautiful. I thought that was fun, and I think it was $1. If I can remember, the pricing in this store was very confusing and not very clear. So a lot of the stuff I just had to go to the register and just cross my fingers and hope that it was, you know, reasonable when I got there. I found these in the greeting card section. They are vintage Hallmark. Some of them open. They're Easter cards, and some of them I believe are bookmarks. This is Warner Press. This one looks like it's been torn off of something. I guess the back of the card was torn off. And then this is probably my favorite. I love the purple with the gold. And that is Hallmark. So that was fun. I don't know how much these were. I'm guessing 25 cents or 50 cents. And then lo and behold, I love finding these labels. It's funny how many people buy these and never open them. But you only get 6 at a time. Maybe that's why. Maybe people buy like 5 or 10 packs and then don't use them all. This one said Grandma, which is what I called my grandma. And this one is my name. Meg is short for Margaret. And I've never seen these with my name on it before. I'll probably never find Meg on them, but I was like, well, I'll probably never see Margaret on them again either. So I grabbed both of those. I found these invitations, and I don't know how vintage they are. There's no UPC, so they can't be that new. But I just thought they looked kind of 80s. And they fold up like a little diaper. And I thought that was so adorable. When I found these, I got real excited because I thought they would have other vintage invites in their boxes, but this was probably the oldest thing I found, sadly, other than those crosses. I found something that I've never found in the wild, and some of y'all are going to cheer because you guys know that I've been talking about this for a while. I found airmail envelopes, and they're made by Eaton, which I think is a pretty good brand back then. Mid-City Press. I'm assuming this was a local print shop back in the day. 25 envelopes, not even used. So, super excited about that. I found 2 sets of flashcards. These look like they're probably not that old. You can see where there were dotted lines where someone had cut them apart. But really fun. And then these are phonics cards, and I don't think this goes with the rest of them. See how these are shiny and white? I bought them for these because these looked 80s to me. So these will probably go in the 80s childhood journals just because. That dog looks like he's up to no good. How does a dog climb a ladder? A giraffe. yeah, just really cute, adorable. And I think these were 50 cents, I think. And then I've got these. I don't need the instruction cards. Oh, those are cute. All right. The other thing I found that's not fabric at this store is this little book, Panda Prints. I liked the cursive. That's what caught my eye. And then look at the inside. I think this says to sugar. Oh, I can't even read that. 1970, October 1970. And that looks like grunga or something. Maybe that's what they called their grandma. I don't know. But it's just adorable. It's very small color. Just a little bit of green and a little bit of blue. But what I liked about it is the amazing amount of journaling space on these. And they're small enough that you could cut the strings, or lift them out, and put them in a journal upright. I'll probably keep these intact versus cutting around these people. Just so cute. California. Is that what that says? Why am I having such a hard time reading this? Call if found. Suzanne. Okay, it says Suzanne. And I don't know what that says. But evidently it was given to a girl, young girl, because her handwriting is a little young looking. All right, I found 2 pieces of fabric. I've kind of gotten spoiled by the fabric at my local craft reuse, and so this store had mainly white and creams, and I was like, boring. So I did find 2 80s-ish looking prints that I got. I am pretty sure my mom had this same fabric and probably made a jumper for me and her and my sister out of it. Ticking with the little apples or watermelons or whatever was very popular in the early 90s. And so I thought this would be fun for a back-to-school journal. And look at this beautiful little calico. It's like a cornflower blue with white stamped flowers. So cute. All right, that was literally all I got at the reuse store, which is surprising for me, I know, but most of it was newish things or things that were like just recycled or trashy objects, like egg cartons. And I was not interested in any of that. I'm assuming they have a lot of sculpture and mixed media artists that come through there. At the reuse store, they had a spinning rack with golden books on it. And the pricing was weird. Some of the ones that were newer were higher. Maybe they're rarer, I don't know. The whole store in general was a little overpriced, I thought, but of course we were in Atlanta, so I wasn't too surprised. But then I found a few gems. I don't think I've ever seen this title before. Let me know in the comments if y'all have seen The Party Pig. It's very old because you can tell by the cover, and I don't know if this is scratches or just dirt. I have not tried to clean it yet. There's not even a name written in it. 1954. And it's Early Richard Scarry illustrations, which is super fun and exciting. I have never come across this one, strangely. I know a lot of you have and have made cute journals out of it with bird themes. I've never found one. So this is an Eloise Wilkins illustrated birds book. And 14th printing, 1981. And it does have the barcode. The Lively Little Rabbit. I came close to making a junk journal out of this spring, but I don't have this cover. I have the next newest one. The unfortunate thing is, look, unless I do a 3-hole punch journal, this is going to be covered by the fabric. So, but I just had to get it. I think this was $1.99. The price stickers were right here on all of them, and it lifted a little bit of the paper here. I think the one that was the worst was, actually that was not from the price sticker. That was from earlier. That was there. The price sticker was here. I was able to get this one off. This is the one that just made me sick when I eventually pulled it off. I thought I had a clean pull with heat and everything, and it just, no, I didn't use heat. I was mad at myself for not using my heat gun. The rest of it came off really easy, and I thought I was good, and I pulled a little too fast at the end, so, but that's okay. I don't mind these little facade imperfections on these. I think it's precious as they are. They just look loved and lived in. This is a vintage star, and it says to E. Greg Lamping from Grandma, Covington, Kentucky, 1949. This one I thought would be a great back to school book. I don't know why the price is marked out. I always thought that was funny that they have kittens just hanging out while they're doing crafts. I mean, I know cats are attracted to things like that, but I've always thought that was kind of funny. That would be 55, but 24th printing, 1980. Yeah, I was thinking it was about 1980. I think I had this book because when I look at these images, it kind of jars a deep, deep memory in my brain of I've seen this before. I must have had it when I was really little. This is the book that is illustrated by this guy. I'm not going to try to pronounce that. I'll not do it right. Mildred Ann Shaw. Must have been a birthday present. And this one is 1948. I just think he's so... This is my favorite image in the whole book. I've always loved this image. So I have the same book, but a newer version with a different cover. I like this cover the best. And this is just adorable. Oh, this is the same grandma gave this book. Maybe it was a baby gift. Corinne Malvern is the illustrator, 1949. Such treasures, y'all. I've never found most of these titles in my area. So that's the beauty of going to a new city and exploring things you've never explored before, because different areas really do have different things. Okay, I'm going to pause the video and put this away, and I'm going to come back and we'll do a little craft with me. I'm about to add some pockets to one of the 80s journals. I am doing it a little bit different this time. Instead of going from front cover to back cover and doing all of the pockets, embellishments, decorations, blah, 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 I am going through each journal and adding pockets. And then I'll go through each journal and add all the decorations and embellishments. And then I'll go through each journal and add the ephemera. It's easier for me that way because it allows me to only get out the supplies for one type of edition at a time. So right now I have everything around me that I need for pockets only. And then I'll put that stuff away and I'll work on embellishments and decorations and get all those boxes down. So join me in 1 second. All right, so I have just finished putting pockets in two of the very pastel colored fabric covered 80s journals, and today I am moving on to a much brighter 80s journal. This one is reserved. It is a very glittery multicolored star fabric with a lime green grosgrain closure. And this one we made the decision to do, and I say we because my husband does this part. He's much better at it than I am. We wanted to do 3 different colors. We thought that was really fun. I don't know that we'll do that with any more or not. Oh yes, I see over there we have done one more like that, and it's the other one that's sort of neon colored. So this will just show you my process. I think I've shown this before, but it's always just fun to do craft with me here and there, and I know I owe you guys a video also, so this is a great way to do both. Let's see. One of the things I like to put on the inside of fabric cover journals, and I don't know why. It's just kind of what I gravitate to. Let me move this a little bit. I like to put a triangle pocket on the inside front cover. And then I almost always put a double pocket right here. I just want, when you first open a journal, I want there to be 2 different shaped pockets, and I also want it to just be exploding with ephemera, sort of in your face when you first open the journal. So we're gonna do that. So I've got this basket here. This is a Dollar Tree basket, and it's just got some, I have 2 piles. I have thin paper and I have cardstock baskets. And so for these pockets, I obviously need cardstock. All right, I already see which one I'm gonna pick for the left side. This is a digital printout of the composition notebook design in a beautiful teal. So let's do that. And sometimes my printer, I guess I just don't do the settings right. It puts this white border. I said borderless, but sometimes my printer, I have an Eco Tank. Sometimes, even if I say borderless, if I print it at high quality, it still gives me a border. I can't figure out how to override that, so. But it's not a big deal if I don't need the whole page. I just trim the white off. My hands are very dry today and actually hurting a little bit. We've been doing some, like my thumb is really sore. We've been doing some modest, not remodeling, I guess redecorating of our master bedroom. And that's one of the reasons we went to Atlanta. It's actually the main reason we went, and we just turned it into a weekend thing. We wanted to have, I'm sorry, I'm just eyeballing the measurements of where I need to cut. We wanted to go to IKEA because we wanted a shelf that they had there that would look really good with the new headboard that we have. So my husband and I have had a sleigh bed for, oh my goodness, 19 years. And we just realized, you know what? Because our kids have both gotten new beds since then. And it just never occurred to us, hey, maybe you should give your room a facelift as well. We decided just to do it. So we did. And I got a rattan. I wanted a boho look, so I found a rattan headboard. I wish I could find a vintage one, but I could not. Not that I could afford anyway. And got that, and then once I got that, it's curved instead of a flat, you know, like sleigh beds are flat. It's sort of an arch. And so I was like, oh no, I can't hang over the bed what was there before. I need something different. So we decided on one of IKEA's long picture shelving pieces. And then I have some plants that are kind of viney and they're kind of hanging down off of it. It's really cool. But you know what? Sometimes you just need to go to IKEA. I think we end up going every other year or so just for things like that, little staple accessories for the home. All right, I think I need something to trim this, to bring in some of this pink. So let's pick something out of my pink bag. It's always fun to go to IKEA, and this time, you know, because their displays are always changing. This time, we took my daughter's boyfriend with us, and he had never been to an IKEA. So it was really fun to sort of introduce somebody to IKEA for the first time. I remember the first time I ever went in IKEA, I was like, I don't even feel like I'm in America anymore. It was so big and just so curated that, and it just feels very European. If you've been there, you know. And it was just really fun. So I was like, I can't wait to show him this store. And he did have a great time. My kids were most impressed, honestly, we asked their favorite part, and they were the most impressed by how good the IKEA's $1 hot dogs were. I'm gonna go sew this down. So when I sew a little edge on here, I normally don't also sew all the way around. Also because there's sewing on the edge of the book here. It just makes it a little bit harder for the glue to adhere if there's two sewn surfaces trying to stick to each other. So usually, to simplify things, when I do that, when I sew onto the edge of a page that's been sewn, I will not sew the pocket. And it's not really necessary, it's more of a decorative thing. They had everything in stock that at IKEA this time that we needed. Well, we didn't need anything. Everything in stock that we wanted. But there was one item. I wanted a duvet cover. And it had recently been marked down on clearance. And it was a copy of a original graphic design in an IKEA catalog in 1971. And it was sort of a flower power. It's very yellow. If you've been to IKEA in the last couple years, you probably know what I'm talking about. Well, they were sold out at the Atlanta store. They had some in Charlotte, but we wanted to go to the Atlanta store this time. It's just less crowded, honestly. And I can't figure that out, but the Atlanta store is always less crowded than the Charlotte one. I don't think it's any bigger. It's just the clientele, I guess. So I started looking on eBay and thinking, oh my goodness, this is going to be super inflated price. No, I found one on eBay after we got home that was the same price that IKEA had priced it at, including the shipping. Like, it was the same price. So it's on its way. I'm very excited. Our room is going to have a lot of yellow in it, which y'all know is my favorite color. And my husband's recent favorite color, or I guess second favorite color. His favorite color is dark gray, but his second favorite color is yellow. All right, let's do a double pocket here. Let's do something, let's see, the background is blue. So we can do a little bit brighter colors in this journal. Not that I'm not putting fluorescents and bolds and brights in the pastel journals. I am a little bit, but that will mainly come in the ephemera and tags and such. Just in case somebody wants to keep the journal itself very light and airy, they can take out the really bright stuff. I'm trying to capture the essence of the 80s in the innocent pastels, as well as the primary colors that were so popular, you know, the Benetton and all of that, but also the fluorescents and the tropical colors. Maybe orange, because, you know, we have orange stars on the front. Maybe I should do yellow and orange for this pocket. Do I have any printed or patterned yellow paper? No, but I have patterned orange. Let's do that and find some yellow plain. This is perfect. I like to do, most of the time with double pockets, I like to do a pattern on the front and a solid on the back, just because, you know, you usually cover up that back one by the ephemera that's in the front pocket. You know, it does not get much screen time, if you will. Let's see. I eyeball things, guys. I don't measure usually. I just eyeball things. I usually leave about 1/4 of an inch on the sides, just so it won't peel back, you know, with the curve of the page. And I usually trim this part by hand because it just, you know, if I can do it by hand with a guide, I do it to save the blade on my cutter, because those things are not cheap. So the clip that I showed of the hotel, what did y'all think? Are y'all a fan of architectural marvels? Are you afraid of heights? One of the reasons I wanted to take my daughter in that hotel is because she kind of does have a fear of heights. And so it was really good for her to be able to, we only went to the 10th floor. The video I showed was only from the 10th floor, and it went up to 54. But you had to have a room key to go higher. That's changed. That's something that's changed recently. But I wanted her to ride the glass elevators, the glass elevators that you could, I mean, they open up to the center of the atrium, and those things go fast. So she did a great job. I was proud of her. All right, so before I sew this, I like to make sure that I have it square, and I use my cutting mat for this. I'll get a glue stick just as a tacking agent, and I'll put a little bit of glue here. I just dropped it. I hope it's not going to be one of those days where I drop everything. Okay, so we have it on this top line. Let's decide how tall we want the pocket. I don't always line it up with the bottom of this thing. Sometimes I want it a little taller, so I think I'll do that this time. I'm going to come down to this first little set of dots. There we go. Make sure this is not too tall. No, that's perfect. All right, let me sew the edges, or 3 edges rather. Almost out of blue thread, or rather in the bobbin. And what I'm doing with these journals is, unless I really, really have to have a certain color, I'm just putting in fun 80s colors. And when I run out of the bobbin for that, that's just my cue to switch colors. So there'll be a lot of different sewn colors throughout. I've got some fluorescents, I've got pastels, and I'm also using some primary. I had to order some more Fabri-Tac today. Might want to check y'all's Walmart app. I got Fabri-Tac today delivered, and it used to be $11.50, and it was marked down to $9.70, which is a really good price for a large bottle. That's about what Hobby Lobby used to charge. So it might be worth looking to see if your Walmart has the same price. I don't know if Walmart prices are the same across the country or not. But when mine gets to be about to here, I order another one, because I just do not want to run out in the middle of a project. So there was it was a Saturday that we were in the hotel. There was some sort of convention or marketing meetup, but it was aviation. So it was a bunch of aviation, like aeronautical engineering type companies, and everybody was wearing lanyards, you know, and they all had drinks, and they were mingling in the bottom part of the atrium. It was very fun, and they had that beautiful, like, hotel lobby music that sort of like reverberated, the jazzy stuff that kind of reverberates, and then you've got that mixed with the sound of glasses and talking. It was like the perfect white noise. I kept telling my husband, this is the kind of stuff that I wouldn't mind working to or concentrating with, instead of just that. To me, regular white noise is brash and annoying, so I'd much rather have lobby sounds in the background if I didn't want music, which is rare. I usually want music, but if I'm reading, sometimes I want something not music. Okay, so this looks cool. It looks very 80s notebook-ish, kind of Trapper Keeper vibes here. And as far as the covers of these, I have some things that I have bought that I will use as a topper, but I haven't even begun to think about how I'm going to design that yet. That is that's usually the very last thing I do on a journal is the cover. Okay, so it's funny how we kind of get into a rut, but I'm going to say rhythm instead of rut. Sounds better. Almost always on the page behind the front page, I'll either do a belly band or a side pocket. I think I want to do a side pocket today. Usually because this page is almost always white on the back. And when you do a side pocket, you can put in a large piece of ephemera like this. And the page doesn't look so white. I would prefer to do that on these white pages. All right, so let's pick some cardstock for the side pocket. The page next to it is black and white, so I have complete free liberty to pick whatever I'd like to. I've got some strawberries and some stars. Not stars, little rainbows, like comet-looking rainbows. Let me see. We've already done green. I don't want to do green on the back. Sometimes I do double side pockets, but I think right here I'm going to do a single. Ooh, this might be fun. It's pastel, but it's definitely, I guess, a little more teen vibe. So there are two people who have reserved these that were a teenager in the 80s instead of a child. So I'm not doing custom orders, but if I have anything that leans more toward teen than childhood, I will probably put that in their journals. This one looks very teen to me. It might be a page that I've used in here. Not that that's a big deal. I can repeat prints, but nope, I don't see it. Oh, the first thing I did off camera, as you can tell, is I put the ruffles. I always sew those on and the fabric tabs before the signatures are sewn in. It's much easier that way. If y'all could see the rest of my desk, you would laugh because you would have no idea how I would get anything done on it. It is so full. You'll probably hear things falling over here and there as I go along. That looks really good with the black and white. Edge punch. And then, I don't always do a notch, but I feel like doing it today. And with this, I also just eyeball it. And I usually don't glue the edges of sew the edges of these, just because there's, not a lot of room as it is for things to be put into the pocket because they're narrow. So I like to preserve as much room as possible so things won't fall out. And I feel like when you sew, sometimes you can't put ephemera all the way in because they hit that stitching. So here next to me, off camera, is my list. This list is available on my Ko-fi shop for free. It is called Chasing Retro's Junk Journal Checklist and Idea Bank. And I've added things since I made it, so I probably need to edit it. But I just have a list of all the types of pockets that I can put in a journal. Sometimes you just kind of forget when you're just going along and you're like, oh, I've run out of pocket ideas. I don't know what I've done last, blah, blah, blah. This is just a great reminder. Another place to look on my list is is it that or the next page? Yes, the category called Now What Else to Add. Other things to fill a page if you don't want to do a pocket are things like flip ups, flip downs, flip outs, tip ends, people call them. Stapled in notepads. I'm going to do that, but I'm not going to staple it in. I'm going to do a sewn binding at the top. Let's see, tuck spots. That's, you know, it can be just a shape, but it can also be an image cut out of a book that you've cut around and backed on file folder or whatever. Fabric flip is one of the ways that I like to cover white pages. I'll probably do that on the other side of this one. So some of these are decorations, but I like to make envelopes and leave them open. And then you can put something in the envelope and then tuck something behind it. Belly bands is also not a pocket, but it's on that list of what else to add. I've got these sitting here. I cut these down. These can be belly bands either way. So I'll be putting that in and at some point. And I don't always only put pockets on the cardstock pages. If there's a if there's a substantial thinner page in here that has a very boring background or text that is not super relevant, I'll sometimes add maybe not a cardstock pocket, but a thicker paper pocket. I think you guys have seen me do that. All right, here's another cardstock page. I don't like to put pockets on the back and front usually, just because it makes it too puffy. So I usually choose the side that looks like it would be the hardest to write on, write over. This one would be the hardest to write over. This one you can use black pen and write right over it. So I'm going to put something here. I hope this is helping. My thought process out loud is helping you guys with how to decorate your journals. I'm not going to do this one here because look, it looks too liney. It looks like it's starting to look like a school notebook, and I don't want it to fully look like a school notebook. So I think I might do a belly band that's long ways here. And I have a good idea of what I'm going to decorate this belly band with. I think I'm going to use glitter. It's not too far off from how tall it is. Okay, let me go grab my little jar of puffy shapes. I haven't actually gotten to use these in these journals yet. My daughter's been using them to decorate her pony journals. All right, so I have this jar of puffy and fuzzy shapes. So this one's furry. I'm looking for some stars. Looks like most of the stars are going to be furry. There's a white one. There's a lime green one. Do I have a pink? Okay, I have this. That's really hard to see on the blue. Let's find another one. Oh, here's orange. Yeah. And then I think I'm going to take this off. It's also hard to see. I saw a pink one that's open. Here we go. Okay, this might be enough. No, that's 4. I need an odd number. Is this a light pink one? Yay. Okay. So we'll do this. I'm just getting them placed. And I'm going to run to the sewing machine and sew them down. Isn't that fun? Just a quick and easy little belly band that's tactile. Now, let's see if my sewing machine will run over these. You know what? I normally don't do this, but I have a feeling if I don't, they're going to shift. So I'm going to put a tiny dot of glue. can pick it up. Oh no, my glue is exploding out. Y'all, I've tried everything, including the little toothpick punched hole. My glue still does this when it's at the end of its cycle, about to be gone. And it requires a great deal of patience when you're working with glue that comes out like a volcano when you're working. Oh my goodness, that's too much glue. Oh, I've got a mess now. Okay. Happy thoughts, happy thoughts. I think this glue needs some Pepsid. Don't we all? When we get to be a certain age? I do. All right, so let's let these dry a little bit. I don't want to gum up my sewing needle. Oh, I was afraid of that. Sometimes the glue kind of shines through with some of this thinner plasticky stuff. It does that real bad with faux vinyl as well. But I couldn't find any way around it this time because these are just so finicky and they will slide. Even on the glitter, they would probably shift on me. Okay, let me run a line of sew through these. Here we go. And this is just a cute little embellished belly band that did not require a ton of time, but it still has sort of a dramatic effect when you first turn the page and see it. I just love this background. I think I found this background on Pixabay. There are a lot of great graphic design backgrounds on that website. Some of them are AI, so be aware of that, but you can filter that out. That's really fun. Very whimsical. I like it. And this orange looks great with that orange. Okay. So we're going to leave this as it is. I'll probably put a decorative element here in the corner, fabric cluster or a fussy cut from a book or something, but I don't want to do another pocket. This is a boring page, but because it's so thin, I will not be adding a pocket or anything. I'll just be decorating it somehow. Okay, so I have this and I have this. This hinge is cute, but I'm not sure it really goes with the theme of the journal. It's sort of a plaid. Not that plaid's bad, but I kind of want to know, maybe I should do a side pocket to cover that. I think I will. What's on the other side? Nothing. So we can afford to go bright and bold. What about this one with the little hearts? Can y'all see those tiny little hearts with the purple background? So cute. So instead of measuring this time, I'm just gonna look at my sheet. I have a sheet here with all the journals and their measurements to help me cut things faster. This is Fabric Stars, so it's 8 3/4 tall. First, let's do the width of the side band that I want to make, and then we'll trim it down to 8 3/4. And because I'm gluing over this, I'm not going to add sewing on this one either, because I don't want to create any more barrier for putting things in and out. I normally don't do side pockets from the center out, just because it does tend to bulk up the center and make the book balloon out a little more. But in this case, I really want to hide that hinge, so I'm going to do it. I will add some decorative trim right here though, before I glue it down. So I'm not going to do the knot because I'm doing the decorative trim. Let's pull out the purple bag, which I don't have much in. Purple is a really hard color to find trim in. It's actually harder than yellow, which is surprising. Rickrack might be fun. Yeah, let's do that. It's not lavender, but it is. So we've got some dark purple on the front too. That'll be cute. I usually just dry cut it and then take it to the sewing machine to secure it. You know what? I might glue this instead of sewing. I think I will. Just to prevent something else from making it hard to glide. So because I'm going to do that, I'm going to trim this a little bit so I won't go past where I need to go with the glue. Here we go. Putting glue on rickrack is quite a feat. Especially when it comes out at 55 miles an hour like it does in the case of it's almost running out. You have to work quickly. See, I had to hesitate because I couldn't grab it and I got a big glob. Sometimes I'll try to get the air bubble out before I close it, but that doesn't always work. All right, that looks to be somewhat even. Trim off the excess at the end. Glue it down. It has sort of a Memphis vibe. I don't know if y'all are seeing that or not, which is cool because I want some Memphis designs in these journals. Of course I do. Oh, speaking of Memphis, do y'all know what I'm talking about when I say that? I didn't realize there was a term for it until like 3 or 4 years ago. Y'all know the 80s sort of geometric splatter. Sometimes it's on grid, but it's like shapes. Sometimes they're like 3D geometry looking shapes, and they're scattered around, and sometimes they'll be scattered with little hash marks, little lines, dots, little tiny triangles, things like that. That's called Memphis, and it's almost always on pastel, but sometimes it's on like black with neon colors. I love that design. So Orly, the nail polish company, one of my favorites, came out with a new color this year called Back to School Special, y'all, and it's Memphis. It is not a color, it's a top coat, I should say, and I've added it to my Pinterest Christmas wish list for my hubs. It is just a clear coat, and it has long bars and dots and squares in Memphis colors, and if you put it like over a mint or a pink polish, it looks amazing. I don't paint my nails that often, but sometimes it's fun to do it. My daughter and I will paint our nails together, and when I saw that, I was like, oh my word. Brilliant. I'm surprised somebody hadn't thought of it before now, but I feel like everybody wants to go back to the 80s now, even the ones that did not even live through it the first time. Not complaining. And I love that they named it Back to School Special. Okay, that is ready. I'm gonna leave this one for now. I may or may not add something later. I really don't know how many other piece of cardstocks I have in this signature, so I don't wanna make this too pocket heavy, you know, and leave no writing space. Cause see right here, I have a pocket, a wallpaper border pocket, which I don't think I have had in any of the other journals. So I like this hinge. This is some of my brayered paper. Do y'all remember the yes and no quiz books? My parents always bought me a new one before a long road trip. Vintage CoverGirl ads. Okay, here's another. This is a hinged page, so I hinged this one with the glitter. So I'll do something on this side. What do I want to do? Probably a tuck spot right here. Needs to be colorful because this is not. Let me think. One of the things I've been adding to some of these journals is sheet music from Annie. But this is too boring and too white to go here, so that's not an option. I could do a fabric flip here, but you know what? I don't like to do either fabric flips or notebook flips on the left side for obvious reasons, because they hang down when you're turning the page, and they tend to want to shift more inward and wrinkle and get closed wrong in the book. Probably because we turn pages from right to left, but I normally don't do fabric flips on the left side. I don't know why. It may be a silly reason, but it's just generally what I don't do. I could do, no, I can't do that because that can't be a tuck spot. Let me think. I have some really large images like this, but these are probably going to end up being journaling cards for the really big journals that I have. Isn't that cute? Let me see. These are too juvenile for this journal. One of the things I did pull out was, I do have some, I thought these would be fun as journaling card bases. This is like the backing of sticker packs that I have bought from the 80s, and you know, you could do a pocket here or something and then back it with paper for writing. I thought that'd be fun. Let me see, what else do I have that I could use as a tuck spot? I have some more Ziggy, but they're all again, I just feel like it needs to be something bolder here. Bright and bold. Let me look at some of these large fussy cuts that I have. Some of them are, oh, what about this guy? Yes, okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna create a torn paper pocket that kind of goes like this. Let's pick a, can't do that because it competes with the red of the present. I need something green maybe. It needs to be wide enough to be able to tear and reach across the page. Would this work? Nope. I may have to start a new sheet because a lot of the things in here are already used up. The width of them is used up. And it needs to be solid for sure. Some white core cardstock might be cool because when you tear it, it will show. But I don't know if I have a lime green white core. Let me go check. Okay, I don't have any white core lime green, but I did find some just green. So we'll do that. Now we need to give ourselves a guide of where to tear. So I need to start about here, and I need to stop about here. This is such a non-scientific method of pocket making. It's a little, makes me a little nervous, but yep, works for me. Cute. Let's glue him down. And I'm not going to sew this guy. I'm not doing a ton of sewing in these. I will do it when the effect is needed or when I have a bright colored thread as an accent, but I've got other types of little embellishments and things I'm going to use, such as slick paint. I bought some hot pink slick paint. I'm going to try to figure out how to incorporate that into the ephemera. How many of us grew up painting our own sweatshirts and t-shirts? I did. The smell of that paint immediately takes me back to being 10 years old and my mom bringing home a fluorescent t-shirt and a bunch of paint and saying, have fun. Adorable. This was from a Smurf alphabet book that I found. I think I found it at a yard sale. I've had some of these books so long. I know some of you have probably sent them in Happy Mail, maybe even like 2 years ago. And I've just been very patiently holding on to all of them until I made these. Okay, so I would love to continue with y'all, but it's 44 minutes in, and that does not include the haul video part. So if you're still here, wow, thank you for sticking around. And if you like this video, please let me know. The house is quiet, sad, because the kids are back in school. So I will be able to turn the camera on a little more often and just let it go if that's something that y'all are interested in. You can see my all of my many failures and boo-boos and all the things that made me question this hobby. I'm just kidding. That's why it's called junk journaling, because you can pretty much write any wrong that you make. You can cover everything is coverable by glitter, right, guys? But let me know. I'm curious. Let me know what you think about how these are coming along. I know this is not much of a preview, but if you were the person who has requested this journal, this is probably very exciting to see progress on yours. I'm excited to work on them this week. I still can't give an estimate time of completion. I told y'all I think I had to completely revamp the tassel or the charm dangles, because the item that I had ordered to use kept breaking, and I threw away a lot of them, so many that I couldn't make enough for all the journals. So I had to start over with square one with that. You'll know more about that later when I show what I'm talking about. But I'm chugging along on these, and thanks for your patience. And I hope you guys have an awesome afternoon. See you soon.